pre-shaped, you know, radius on the bottom of this. This is the 30-inch radius. This, of course, is the top. So this is the X-brace for the top. I already did the one and sanded it smooth on the bottom. This is the bottom. And so we're golden there. I'm going to, at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So it's going to, if you're got earbuds on, that's probably not fun. And I have a few marks on here. This bottom isn't exactly the same anyway, so I got a little ways to go. But when I get closer, I'll draw some lines on here so that I know that I've taken care of all of it. Just in the middle with just, you can't talk and do this at the same time because it is so loud. I'm not applying a lot of pressure to this. I'm just holding it here, but I'm not like jamming it. You don't want to distort it, so you just want it to go down and fit naturally. So, and this is not laying down. This is laying down good. This is not. That might have more to do with irregularities in the paper, but it'll all come out in the wash. And I'm just hitting it from different directions, just I don't know that matters much. This might just be a little bit, you know, not square to the world when it got clamped. Although I had it clamped on top, in the middle, and on the edges of that template, so it should have gone down fairly evenly. A little bit of, oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to just keep doing this. I'm going to go ahead and get some pencil on this, and I don't have any pencil over here. So I've taken it all off of this one already, a little lightly here and out on the ends of this one. So I'm going to need to take this down some more in order to get to these. Well, I have all my pencil marks off now. So I would say that is good. Alrighty, so I have 2 X braces. I did get my, I showed you the circle cutter, but I also got my rosette material in. And you know what? I think I'll go ahead and show that right now. So hang on a sec. All right, so I just measured the inner hole of the sound hole on the plan, and that's supposed to be 3 7/8. And so I thought I probably won't get it to stick here. Thought I might just throw some tape down. Should just move this board, but I'm being lazy. So we're, yeah, all right. So if we, 3 7/8. Now, that's the inside hole, so we got to go out past that. So the smaller one of these rings, just ballparking here, is, you know, a 1/4 inch in or so. So that, and these are oversized, but these can be, is that in the way? I can't see my monitor. I covered it up with the plan. So this could definitely be shrunk down to fit into that circle. Then of course you're going to have this middle part out here, say, And then the outer part will be past that, and that's not going to be an issue either to get that to reduce, you know, into the size we need. This middle part is the problem. And so I'm just going to go, that's where the middle part needs to go. And maybe I didn't draw this out before, so maybe I'll be surprised and grateful. Oh, okay. I am surprised and grateful. Because that looks like that's about where it's going to need to be. And so yeah, so this should work for the rosette. So I'm going to take one of those tops that I said weren't good enough to be an actual guitar top, the cast-offs from Innovation, and I'm going to practice rosette cutting in the guitar top with that stuff. So that's where we're at right now. And once I get set up to do that, oh, I'm going to turn it off, but I'll set you back up on another bench. Just show you how far I am on my mold at this point. All right, so this is where I am on the mold. I've got 2 layers, top and bottom, and then with a spacer in the middle to give me 2.5 inches. The widest part of the sides are calling for 4 1/8, and then they get narrower down to like 3 5/8. And so this fits in there very well. Too well. Okay. So I need to do now is I've been watching McClellan, I believe is his name, and he's got a couple things that actually, if you were to cut this off and attach a block, can you see this? Let's see here. Yeah, you can see this. I'll move it a little bit. So say for instance you were to take something bigger than this, but 3/4 inch piece, and saw this off 3/4 and then glue and screw that into there, and then have another one over here. He runs his bolts through here in order to clamp the halves together, and that's not a bad system. Of course, you've seen them with just the clamp. You drill a hole right through here. The thing I liked about McClellan's version is that when you have the side in here with the longer edge sticking out, you can put your saw here and actually trim your side. And let's see. You could actually run, I don't have a saw in my hand here, so you could take your side right here. It's going to be sticking up through here, long there, and you could just take your saw and saw it right off even with that. And it's a critical cut, and that would hold you square, and it would hold you, it would cut it off in exactly the right place. And you get an end wedge on this end anyway, so if you were to develop a little gap for whatever reason, you have an end wedge that you cut through all that anyway and put an end wedge in, an inlay. And at the neck end of the thing, you have the neck cover and everything. So it's really, it's not that critical of a cut. You want to get it right, but it's not a lose thing if you get it a little short. So I'm thinking about doing that. But the other thing I'm thinking about doing, actually just making a notch in here, 3/8 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch notch, leave about 1/2 an inch there, and connect it that way, and then just so I don't lose my original size, because my sizing is perfect. And if I leave that, then I notch into here, I can actually glue these in, run them over the jointer, and have everything be in the same plane, jointed straight. So I think that's what I'm going to do. May leave these a little proud just so that I have something to actually joint down to. Anyway, if that makes any sense. That's it. That's the update this far. This far? Thus far? So far? All right, so we're going to be looking at cutting the rosette in and gluing a rosette in. We're going to kind of do this backwards because the cutting already happened. So the next guitar I will film some of the cutting. So I just wanted to do it on a scrap piece. This is the piece I was talking about before. That was the Ovation cast off stuff, and the reason I'm not using this is because the rings are so wide on this material. These on the new piece here are much smaller. I don't even want to wager a guess. They're really small. You could probably find a ruler and measure them. But so I wanted to test the jig out with the cutters and all that kind of stuff. See what I had. I actually moved up to an 1/8 inch to do the center ring because it's bigger around. But I used a 1/16 on the 60 thousandths cutter, 62 thousandths cutter on the smaller rings, and I did the inside circle of the actual guitar sound hole on the demo here, but that you wouldn't do that, and I didn't do that on the real thing because when I set up to do that cut, I don't want to have to relocate the hole and and go from there. So I just got used to what the jig feels like. This guy, this was from Elmer. And I did a little video on. I don't know if I've posted it though. I'd have to double check. But I ended up putting a washer, a little C-clip into the mechanism here because it had some front and back slot, play, and I took care of that. But as I was using it during the actual real deal cut, I noticed it getting sloppy again, and I thought, gee, I'm wearing this thing out. But what happened was the little screws in the back had actually started to come loose, and it was moving a little bit from that. So I took them out and thread locker on them and put them back in. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you that I did have a practice piece here before I went for the real thing. So here's the real thing. And like I said, I didn't do the inside hole. So kind of got, now on my print for this guitar, it actually shows the fretboard coming down to about here, and this ring is exposed. Now I could certainly make the fretboard come farther into the hole so you don't see that. The sound hole itself cuts out about there. So could definitely cover that if this is not good, but if I can manage to cut this where it goes together and joins cleanly enough, I might just do that. So I'm going to try to do that. So I've got whatever company is that makes these things, they have some flat on the end. They don't get them completely, but they're big enough that you end up cutting that off anyway. So I'm going to take and cut I'm going to guess a 45-degree angle. It could be a 30. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to match the opposite end here and try to make that all work out to where it fits perfectly and closes that gap. And not being a straight across line, hopefully that will make it look better. So I also made this call to clamp down. I have packing tape here so the glue doesn't stick. So once I get everything where I want it and I'm going to glue it in, then I'll do that. I'm not going to use CA or super glue because that can, if you have something like abalone and you need to wick glue into it, CA glue into it, then you would shellac the grooves so that they don't wick CA glue up into it. I'm just going to use Type Bond in this situation. I think that'll be fine. Or I might use hide glue. I don't know. No reason to. Well, fish glue. So I'm just going to go cut a little angle on this thing, and then I'm going to come back over here and get started. Just trying to figure out where I can cut this and be safe. Okay, so I can cut it right at the little dog leg here and be safe. I'm going to use the back of my caul for a cutting board. And it's probably not in the camera. And I know it's really handy to have my hand right in the way, but that's just the way it's got to be. Trying to figure out a way to hold this because it's not wanting to cooperate. All right. Be handy if I could see what I had under there. Pretty sure I'm too long. Also, there was some fuzz in the grooves, so I took this fingernail file, emery board, and I cut a straight line on the bottom of it so I could just get it to cover more area. And I just ran around the insides of these circles to knock the fuzz down. The angles don't really line up exactly. They're pretty close, but considering I just guessed. And it is long. And I'm just trying to guesstimate by how far I am off the groove here, how long that is, but you know what? It's pushing in. Now it won't come out. I'm just using this little emery board here to file some length off of here and lengthen the angle of the miter. And this route is a little teeny bit oversized. I don't think it's going to matter an awful lot once it's all glued in there, but Needs a tiny bit more. All right, I'd say that one's pretty good. Now these up here don't really matter at all, and because they are definitely buried. I think I'm going to sand. I can't push these in all the way or I'm in trouble. Oh, how about that? They don't even come all the way together anyway, so I got to make sure I start centered on that guy. Being very, very careful here. Okay, so they were not really touching up here, a little tiny bit. All right, and I don't know who makes this for Stu Mac, and I can understand that it's delicate because it's basically wood. It's maple, and then fiberboard, black fiberboard. So I am just trying to take some of the rough edges off of this so that it'll go into the gap properly and not peel itself up. I really don't want to make it any narrower. Oh, that's pretty snug. And as you can see, I'm using the emery board for that. It's coming pretty handy actually for things like that. I use them a lot in repair when you can't get into a guitar, but you can get that in there and get in between a brace that you need to clean up to re-glue. Okay, so I know that fits. I'm going to just start the glue like in the middle there, and then by the time it gets around, just double checking. Yeah, that'll be just perfect. I'm not going to hammer that thing in because it'll be really hard to get out of there, so we'll wait for the glue for that to happen. Okay, and then we'll fit this one. Now, I definitely cut a corner here where I didn't make the rosette, I just ordered it as a set. I like the look. A lot of the things I've been seeing, different custom builders doing, making a rosette out of, a piece of veneer, some interesting looking piece of wood, not just some random veneer, but, and then after, basically use the same machine to run that down and figure out the size you need. Cut it to size, and then you cut the channel in it, just like we're doing here. I don't have a ton of leftover here either, but there again, it's going to be under the neck, but I don't want to have, I hate to have a huge gap. I'm just going to try to clean this up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to cut a little more of this off. I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but it's doing a pretty good radius, and then right here it just goes square, and the same thing here. About here it goes square. So, and it's not really allowing any. It's not moving because it's all glued together fairly rigidly. So I might have to actually trim the outside edge so that it sits inside the radius.